Aww. We are fighting a war 30 years in the future.
Is this a joke?
I got drafted.
I will be back.
Move your shirt, please.
Wait, what's this for?
It's just a test.
Oh, a seatbelt. Was it a driving test? No? You don't have jokes in the future? I was trying to save my daughter. If I gotta save the world to save her, then I'm gonna do it. There's still a chance that we can stop this war from ever happening. So we gotta fight.
Well, it's nice knowing you.
Tomorrow War is an erotic feeding film for aliens who enjoy binge-eating humans.
Yeah.
Most expensive mukbang ever made.
Okay.
You know mukbang?
Nope. There was a moment when they were talking about the tuna Santa, where they was talking about the bearded fish smell, and I'm like, do I have a dirty mind, or is that intentionally supposed to be a dirty moment?
That was supposed to be a dirty moment.
It was something.
Yeah.
I was like, tuna
It was
Santa.
something.
I mean,
Yeah.
No one's eating my tuna, Santa.
When I come back, I'm gonna have a new job, and I'm gonna eat all of your tuna, Santa.
Would cannibals enjoy the film? Gromling.
I'm gonna
going
say
to
no.
you. No?
No.
Jeffrey Dahmer, not a fan.
I'm not a fan. I feel
Okay.
like, for one, it's not human on human action, and
So he is not into alien on human
and it's
action.
not enough like of the visceral.
Yeah.
Tomorrow War is about aliens called White Claws who eat almost all of the human race, and then the remaining humans are nice enough. They're just such good hosts that they use time travel to feed them more humans than existed on the planet at the time. It's the best use of time travel I've ever seen. Like, they're just like, we gotta keep our, we gotta be good hosts. Gotta feed them.
Yes.
It's an idiocracy future, is my thought.
Yes.
Your review when it's turned into a blurb.
It is a movie.
Chris Pratt dyed his hair brown for this movie.
Does he dye his hair brown?
It looked brown.
Doesn't he have brown
I
hair?
think he's like usually more blonde.
Really? Hot take. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah. I thought they were trying to do that to make him look more smart.
I was thinking more of the every guy.
Blonde dude.
Maybe, yeah.
He's already he just needs to gain weight again.
Yeah.
Andy Dwyer. If Andy Dwyer was in this, would it be a better movie?
Yes.
Everyone loves a good comeback story, right? Seabiscuit, the Mighty Ducks,
Robert Downey Jr. Who
Rocky.
else? Yes.
Kim Kardashian?
Kim. Well,
Well, in the video, she gets cum on her back, I think.
He lost the every guy moment when he took off his shirt for the physical.
You got a pithy summary?
I surprised myself. I went from tearful moment to blabbering crying at one point.
Cried. Made him cry.
That big cry.
Big cry.
Yes.
Are you serious?
big feelings.
He is serious.
okay.
Big feelings.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it the part when the snowmobile flew across and hit the cartoon alien?
No, that was not the moment.
I didn't make it
No,
cry.
that was not the moment.
Spoiler alert.
I cried there. Which version of time travel is it? Is it the Back to the Future Hot Tub Time Machine, Austin Powers 2, Don't Think About It? Austin Powers 2, they literally look into camera and say, don't think about it too much. This movie almost does that. In the training stuff, they're like, don't worry about paradoxes. We're a silly, dumb... And then, later on, father-daughter time travel. Oh, what happened to me? Was I an alcoholic? And it's like, this is a different movie.
What
This
did
is a different
happen? They
movie.
never closed that loop either.
You know, Mom had tried to help me separate from you, but I couldn't. I wanted you to hear me. I wanted you to fix.
Surprise, dumbass.
To fix it and save our family. I didn't want you to walk away.
Imagine if in Back to the Future, Marty gets back to 1955 and meets his parents, and then he's like, Dad, you're an alcoholic and you're a terrible parent, and then he dies in front of them. That's what this movie's like.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Or Terminator 1, Kyle Reese, back in time, hooks up with Sarah Connor. Then they have sex in a motel room, conceive John Connor, who will then be the savior of the human race in the future. And then Kyle Reese turns the camera and says, boy, that was a sticky situation. Something like that, you know? Or I just did the nasty and the pasty.
I did do the nasty and the pasty.
The most unbelievable part of this movie.
Oh, this is...
For me.
Okay.
Of all of the parts.
Most unbelievable part of the movie.
These people, allegedly from the future, show up on the field at the World Cup. And they're like, we have this huge problem and we need you to help us solve it. And all of the world is like, okay, we will. And they all organize. And
So but eventually we're going to get what you think is most...
What was most unrealistic?
Unrealistic.
I can tell you mine. Everybody in America being like, "Oh, we got to watch the World Cup." That's pretty
It was
unrealistic.
the Women's World Cup too, right?
No, I don't think so.
Was it the Women's World Cup?
I don't think so. I think
I
the
think it was
Women's
the-
World Cup is not. In
It was a man.
2022.
It was a man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a man.
it was a woman who
Gromling,
showed up from the
hot take,
future.
That Brazilian guy, maybe not a guy. That's your hot take on the film.
Don't put this.
So we have the flash forward. Oh, people are falling from the sky. Cut to Chris Pratt is an ex-military high school science teacher. Thinks he's a big shot. He's going to be a great scientist. Doesn't get a job, and so he beats up the recycling bin. Something like that. He's got anger issues. So family's watching the World Cup. The daughter, we meet the daughter. She's like 8.
He discovered the vaccine for tuberculosis. Do you know where he found it?
You tell me.
In the dirt with worms and poop.
In the dirt with poop and worms, and she thinks that's hilarious. Just great foreshadowing. We'll get to it, except they forgot they did that foreshadowing. So, oops. So it's at 7 a.m. in Qatar. Who is in the World Cup final?
Brazil.
And
I don't remember the other team.
the other team is blue and white. And on the internet, people say it looks like Scotland. I don't know enough about soccer. There's a little
Sweden.
logo at the bottom. You can see the Brazil flag. And then there's a blue and white flag, but it's got like an E on it. It looks like a weird like Euro flag. Like it's the European team.
Maybe a lot happens in the next
Yeah.
year.
It was like, what? Why could you not just pick a country? I don't understand.
You've thought about this
Also,
a lot.
Miami Dolphins still suck.
but this happens in 2022. This upcoming Super Bowl, Super Bowl 56. The Dolphins definitely don't win it.
So we'll have to.
So I looked up the odds. What do you think the Dolphins' odds are of winning the Super Bowl this year?
right now.
This is according.
in
This
July,
was last night, in
2021.
July.
1 in 13.
13 to 1.
I'm gonna say 1 in 10, or 10 to
Bigger. 1 in 45.
It's 33 to 1. So you were the closest. Give her a point. There we go. There it
Thank
is.
you.
So I'm just saying, this movie is probably wrong. The one prediction it makes 2. One, Brazil's in the final. It's probably wrong. And that the Dolphins don't win the Super Bowl. So I'm guessing the Dolphins win the Super Bowl this year. Tua. Put money on Tua to win MVP. Okay. So they're watching World Cup. People from the future show up and are like, we're losing a war to aliens in the future. We need help. Somehow they're on, like, cameras right here, like it's on the field. Also, she's on the PA system and, like, into the, like, broadcast. It's schlocky, right? It's the built-in schlock. Like, in a schlock movie? Fine. So we do a draft where who's eligible for the draft? It's mystery, right?
Well, there's an implied thing. If you do a draft, that means most people don't volunteer.
Right. There's not a lot of volunteering. Right.
Yeah.
That tells you something about
Yeah.
the
Which
plan.
could be a comment on, like, trying to save the future, climate change.
Sure.
But the
Yes.
governments are all in on this
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yes. So they're making people, or
Right.
putting them in prison, or they're escaping to Canada.
If they know J.K. Simmons,
Yes.
they can escape. Right. So there's a mystery on, like, they say at one point 50% of military people are not eligible. And we're like, well, what makes you eligible?
You meet all requirements for conscription.
What are the requirements for conscription? A pulse?
You're gonna be dead before this
Right.
event happens in the
They're
future.
only drafting people who are already dead in the future.
It says at 11:23 Eastern Time, October 13th, 2030, you'll be pronounced dead.
But how many people are still alive?
500,000.
500,000 people are still alive in the future. But yeah, they say it's for like
seconds.
they say it's to avoid paradoxes.
But there's not that many, obviously.
Their explanation though is you have to be dead already. But when they get there, only 500,000 people are still alive.
And-
50% of the people aren't eligible. Math doesn't add up. That's my
And there's only one time machine, but looks like mostly Americans coming through this time machine.
It's got the America syndrome. Americans save the world, and it's all Americans who die.
There will be no push-ups, no pull-ups, no obstacle courses.
I was kind of looking forward to that.
Then we get to the training montage. Just kidding. We don't give you any training.
See, I don't get the criteria for like what goes in what states. Like they took my shorts, they left the jacket, which is clearly like fashion over function. My man over there is wearing a chef's hat.
You're all stupid. See, they're gonna be looking for army guys.
You know, I thought they would eventually close the loop. Like, why is the person dressed like a chef?
Nope.
Yeah.
No comment.
Well, what I didn't get was that they could have used time travel like in a much better way. Like
Gromling with the hard hitting. How does time travel work?
Well, so
what would you do?
They just started like bringing people in, but they should have like trained the people before they sent them in.
No.
Why is it a
you
pressing
take a
issue?
chef and you throw him in the future, drop him out of the sky.
It's not
in uniform.
You know, I would have gone back into the past and been like, guys, we have this great threat. I'm going to give you like 10 years to come up with a solution. We'll come back.
30.
I mean, yeah, even...
It was 2051.
Yeah.
2022.
But instead, they're just like, start like, you know...
Or could they have all escaped to the past?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so the obvious thing is you just tell the past information, right? But this uses the many worlds interpretation of time travel.
That's true.
Which is there's a timeline, aliens attack. Now they can travel to the past, but it doesn't change their own past. It just creates a separate timeline. And they're very firmly in the many worlds interpretation, because if you remember, Chris Pratt, spoilers, he is like, no, if I go back with the toxin to save my timeline, his daughter would still die in this one.
But does it even matter? I don't think it does.
I don't know if it matters. But he is very, they both understand this. They both are like, well, you would just be leaving me here to die. It's not Back to the Future where if you fix the past, it like flows through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's two different timelines. So even if they fix the past, which they do, her timeline still happens that way. They're avoiding paradoxes.
Maybe you're going to get to this, and you can just tell me right now.
Yeah.
But there were several moments where I'm saving you, I'm protecting you for a special mission, and all the mission is to take the toxin back. Why was he the only person that could take the toxin back?
Because her dad is the only one.
Oh.
It's her dad.
The love of a daddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daddy love.
That's what
Gromling says.
Okay, I'm going to cry again.
You're saying time travel, if it's just information to the past, it doesn't fix her timeline.
Right.
Yeah.
So the people in the future are trying to save their own timeline. They can't just tell the past, give them time to prepare, or even the toxin, because that doesn't save them. Because of the many worlds interpretation.
Yep, they're just borked.
Right. So they have the many worlds interpretation, which avoids paradoxes, because you're not going to your own past. It's just like an alternate universe.
Like Back to the Future.
Which is, it's not a many worlds.
Right, that's the paradox.
So the reason you do that is it avoids paradoxes, and yet in all of their like training, they're like, oh, we can't send people who are still alive because that would create paradoxes. It's like, well, why are you doing many worlds then? Yeah, pick one.
Trained people, they could have taken their time because they have time to send people into the future, but instead they're like, we got to do this now. Next week, we're just going to go send everyone in, and it's
You should have been the colonel.
I should have been the colonel.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have an in-universe explanation for why they don't train them.
Okay, but why don't we have pictures or videos, would help us to know what we're up against?
The consensus was that if the public saw what they'd face when they reached the future, it would become virtually impossible to fill that hunger.
But they could still do, like, combat training without showing the alien, right?
This is true.
Yeah.
So
you can aim at a target.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next time someone asks that, you should probably just lie.
Take that. Just flip it around like that. Makes sense. And that's your safety.
So they're very dumb.
When the first guy doesn't know how to operate the rifle?
Yeah, it's like give them equipment and teach them
They
how to
don't
use
even
the
want them
gun.
to know how to use the gun.
Yeah.
Get them battle ready, but instead it's like, nah, you just got off the McDonald's line.
How are you so calm?
Long story. You got ex-military? Yeah. Kind of a short story, I guess.
It almost feels like it's the aliens being like, feed us more people.
Feed us more people.
You know?
So here's the thing. Fun fact. in the script, before it goes through rewrites, the actual plan of the future people is to bring back from the past people who are already dead, inject them with the toxin, and then tell them they're being soldiers, but really they're feeding them to the aliens on purpose to kill the aliens.
That is a lot darker.
That is why they're just alien a buffet on purpose. So it's like, okay, this makes so much sense.
It does.
Because they don't train them at all. They really don't seem to care if they do anything, except for they have like, oh, we have one team that we want you guys. Everybody else is like, you guys are just alien food.
Yes.
All that stuff is left in there except the part where they're toxin and like they're actually being fed to them on purpose. They cut that.
I feel like
left all the other parts where it's like, yeah, you're being fed to the aliens.
that
That's
was
what
kind
we're
of
doing.
better metaphor for like war, right?
It makes so much more sense. I think it's also hilarious.
Yeah.
That makes it way more into the comedy, dark comedy area.
Yeah.
Would have been great. So someone decided, nah, that's too dark. But they left all the stuff, and they don't train them. It's like, what are you doing?
What you think you know about basic training does not apply. You will not march, crawl, or climb.
Hey, what's going on? I thought we had 7 days.
The world doesn't end on a schedule.
Well, we're not ready for any kind of deployment. We don't even know what's going on to
You'll
do.
get...
But it's a really good Soviet Army 1941 simulator.
Okay.
It's like,
yeah.
Cut to enemy at the gates. Do the aliens eat anything other than humans? Do they eat like?
It seemed like in one scene they were chasing wild animals.
I don't know that I noticed that.
Oh yeah, for when they were in the helicopter.
Right,
Were they chasing wild animals?
Yeah,
Yes.
on the on the island.
Oh yeah.
So they could have just been
Dominican Republic.
They could have just been drafting animals from the zoo full of toxin.
Plot hole.
Yeah.
Huge plot hole. I really wanted them, after I read this, I was like, oh, they're feeding to him on purpose. It's great. I need that movie. And they kind of did it and then chickened out. They chickened out on feeding him on purpose.
I was definitely expecting like a nefarious twist by the future humans. And
they seem like they're intentionally incompetent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, they're just dumb.
That's not a Chris Pratt movie, though.
It has a built-in defense, which is people, if you read online, people say it's a big, dumb, popcorn, summer, action, blockbuster. It doesn't need to be smart. It's intentionally silly.
Okay, what is the best example of that?
It's about Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black. Silly on purpose, yeah. They're saving the world. You never like, oh no, everyone's going to die. It's, you know.
I thought those were fun to watch.
They're fun to watch. So, so why doesn't it work here? Because it made him cry. It's too serious.
It's doing too much.
Yeah, so I have it down
doing
as
too much.
It's 3 different movies.
Yeah.
There's the fun, campy, cartoony action movie. Which is like just over the top. It's basically a Rick and Morty episode.
Four enemy contact, you're 3 o'clock!
Your comic side character, your comic relief side character kills aliens with a chainsaw. Also, by the way, father-daughter crying stuff. These are different movies.
They are.
And then I also have very serious sci-fi thriller, like Alien meets Terminator.
Yeah, the whole scene where they go
Very
to
tense.
Russia at the end.
At the end, it's just Alien.
Yeah.
Well,
and the time travel is very Terminator. We get sent to the future with no training whatsoever. Most of them die immediately, which is fine because they're pumped full of toxins and we're just feeding the aliens, and it makes sense, except the movie forgot to tell us that because it's too dark. Okay. What's their big video game mission when they get to the future?
They have to save the research team.
They've got to go find the research team.
And save the ampules.
And there's ampules of toxin. I think it's the toxin that only kills the males, right? And the whole thing is they got to develop a toxin that kills males and females. So they have a toxin that kills the males, and this species is like 99% males, but they're apparently not using it. They could just wipe out the males and then go mop up and kill the queens, but instead they're like, no, we got to develop a toxin that kills both.
It's like I have a moth trap that only attracts the males, And I still have.
How does that work?
The pheromones. It has pheromones and the
Secreting things.
Yeah, and the male was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fly there. There must be some lady moths," and
it's a trap.
It's a trap. They get stuck to it.
Japanese beetles, because the pheromones that attract all the Japanese beetles just attract Japanese beetles to your yard.
Oh.
What you really want is to put the pheromones in your neighbor's yard.
Maybe the neighbors with the illegal fence.
And so maybe we do that to other planets or something.
Are you a bad neighbor?
No.
It's just going to go on YouTube.
So then what? You got to get the 12 vials of the toxin before we carpet bomb the city. Which, by the way, Chris Pratt goes and finds a thing of 15 vials. No one seems to notice or be like, how do you know that's the right thing you're grabbing? It apparently is, even though it's 15 and not 12. Oops. But they have to get it before they carpet bomb the city. Why are they carpet bombing the city?
It's a lost cause.
Because it's overrun with aliens. So your toxin that you really need, this is your last hope. Fuck that. We're going to carpet bomb the city because like every other city on the planet, it's overrun with aliens. So why are we bombing it?
Yeah, and you don't carpet bomb with small.
Yeah, so carpet bomb, you're picturing, all right, B-52s that are now 100 years old, which are supposed to be still in service in 2050, last I checked. Maybe it's B-21 Raiders, which don't exist yet. No, it's 5 F-22 air superiority fighters that can't do CAS at all. They're the ones tasked with this. They drop a total of 10 bombs.
Yeah.
And like 6...
Maybe more.
6
like,
of the 10...
There's no way that they could be
Well,
on
they
those
can't
planes.
carry that many bombs internally.
Right.
And we see them, and they're not carrying them externally.
Right.
The military stuff doesn't make sense.
Okay, but you need to stay away from areas with red smoke.
Something like 6 of the 10 land and blow up just behind the main characters.
Right.
It's like, this isn't carpet bombing a whole city. This was tactically making your main characters look
Luckily
cool.
we had
Fun facts all around.
Fun
facts.
I was having a blast.
So what military equipment do they have? We know they've got F-22s, which are good for aerial dogfights. Not much else.
Great for
we got those for carpet
ground
bombing.
aliens.
Right. No drones, really. Mostly
Lot
what we see are
of helicopters.
F-22s, Humvees, and Blackhawks that look like they're in Fast and the Furious. They added some parts to and some scoops, some tails, extra spoilers to a Blackhawk.
Yeah, drones.
No MRAPs, no JLTVs.
I don't know what any of that is, but okay.
You know what an MRAP is. Police use them against black people. I'm going to cut that.
Oh.
No grenade launchers, no flamethrowers. Do flamethrowers work on the aliens?
We don't know.
We do know.
Oh.
They control the queen with it. There's parts where they're like, they spray it in different holes to keep the queen into one. So we know they do work.
This is how much I
That's
like
the only time they ever used them. Yeah.
The grossest part of the whole movie.
Because you have tryptophobia.
Ugh.
What's tryptophobia?
Fear of small holes. Those aren't small holes, though.
Like honeycomb or like
lotus pods.
Interesting.
Send me. I cannot.
How do you feel about wasps' nests?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I have one building in my on my balcony that I need to take care of.
Supposedly.
Elaborate on that. You have your own future war going on? Tomorrow War?
I do.
Gromling versus wasps. I'm going to film that in 4K. What do you got a flamethrower?
I do have a flamethrower. I thought the fact that like the daughter happened to be like a crucial element and then the dad also is a crucial element. I was like, it would just be two randos and who would probably hook up and then create some sort of like time abomination baby.
It's a good... Remember, when he is learning that she is his daughter.
Colonel Forrester?
I'm not a colonel.
Excuse me. They're starting in 20, Colonel.
Colonel Forrester. First Sergeant Dan Forrester, Special Forces.
Colonel, and it was like, this is going on a little long with him not figuring it out.
Forrester. That's funny. You spell that... Wait, where...
You dummy.
It's like, figure out she's your daughter
before you hit on her?
Before more than that happened.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
I was like, because if there wasn't the dad-daughter relationship, like, they totally would have hooked up, and, like, you could see...
It's not cheating if you're 30 years in the future.
Yeah,
I'm going to put that right now. If I end up 30 years in the future, that's a free pass.
Fine.
If you
Okay.
do, free pass.
But, like,
Either way.
Yvonne, what's her face, and then Chris...
Igor Stravinsky.
Yeah, and then Chris, like, they totally would have been romantic leads together.
It's time to science montage to make a super toxin that kills both males and females. And we
It's just her like doing this.
apparently the
into
entire
doing droplets of things.
she's the only one that can do it. No one else can help.
The Colonel.
The Colonel.
Toxin still affects them, but for some reason her body is much better at detoxifying.
The only problem is finding out what's stopping the toxin. Okay, let's see how fast we can denature this thing.
So the Miami Dolphins ever win the Super Bowl?
Do you really want to know?
56%.
Oh, there's some enzyme that the queen is using to negate the toxin. We've got to figure out something that kills this enzyme. And previously, the daughter in the past at the World Cup watching party was talking about the tuberculosis vaccine, how it was found in the dirt with poop and worms. And so you're thinking, you know, that plus like penicillin was discovered because someone left a window open, and also, what is his name? Penicillin guy.
We can edit this in later.
Yeah.
Just like do a voiceover. Be like,
He was an artist.
Alexander
and
Fleming.
he like used bacteria to grow like pigments. And that's why he was like, oh, let this grow and see what happens. Whereas most people were just like doing their like sciencey work. That's how we found penicillin, because he was a weird artist. There's gonna be some clever, and then they have a moment where they have vegetable lasagna from MREs.
because those are the worst ones.
Is it?
Do you know?
Have you had a
Pretty
lot of
gross.
MREs?
My dad used to keep MREs on
I have
hand.
one.
We have an MRE.
I have one MRE. I should whip it out.
And yeah, it's pretty gross.
And so we had kind of like a little potluck with the German MREs and the French MREs and the different
The
services.
French have the best one. That's my guess.
The French had pâté, and they had a little miniature bottle of wine like you get on
In the MRE.
in the MRE, yes.
Huh.
And then the German one was like 6,000, 7,000 calories. It was enormous.
I think the
It was
one
just
we have
sauerkraut.
is just
It's like 5,000
It
calories.
is
yeah.
huge.
I think
yeah.
the
You
US
can't
ones are
eat
like
5,000 calories of sauerkraut.
That would be your weight in
sauerkraut
sauerkraut.
and mustard. That's all it is.
It's a personality test for all the cultures. This is what they think is essential for a meal.
But who thinks vegetable lasagna is essential?
Fucking
Well,
vegans.
it's basically contractors selling to the Pentagon saying, we can make this. So there's a place.
Anyway, aliens. Back to aliens.
I want to hear more MRE stories.
It's a different video.
Oh.
Save it for Top Gun 2.
Yes.
Discovered roughly 10,000 ways to not achieve sufficient potency.
Why don't you take a break? Let me try some of this.
No, I'm fine. I got it.
No, I don't need a break. And I was like, okay, in my mind, I'm building the next scene, which is he does some comic relief, like, oh, let's try some funny, veggie lasagna. Let's see if that works. Let's try my dandruff, see if that works. And it's going to be one of those things, right? And my guess was smegma, but they didn't go there. They didn't go to any of them. I thought for sure it'd be vegetable lasagna.
I mean, smegma.
Would have been hilarious. The key to saving the human race is Chris Pratt's smegma. That would have been a scene. I would have loved that scene. You want to make dark comedy? Make a goddamn dark
I
comedy.
mean, I don't know if smegma is dark. I think if you want it to be dark, you want it to be like
the blood of children.
Like, the blood of children, or like
Virgin children.
or like something weird.
Hymen powder.
Like something that could be like in an Italian horror movie. Like.
Yeah.
So you're going to like a Lucio Fulci movie? Is that
Yeah,
what's going
yeah.
on?
I mean, I'm thinking dark.
Yeah.
I like that
Chris
about
Pratt's
Gromling.
smegma is not doing it
You
for
go all
you.
the way dark with it.
Yeah.
I like that.
So what was it that ultimately made the toxin?
Just
one of the other vials. They don't even try to be any clever with it.
No.
I was expecting the Independence Day scene of like,
Oh, their ship is massive. There's no way to stop it. Wait a minute. Jackets.
Oh, no.
If people don't wear jackets, they could get cold. A cold is caused by a virus. A computer virus.
nothing. It was just like, she tried 1,000 things, they didn't work, and it was the 1,002nd thing.
Right.
It worked. Okay.
Just in time.
I have to know what those aliens are up to.
Wait a minute. Butt sex.
Butt sex?
Butt sex requires a lot of lubrication, right? Lubrication. Chupacabras, the goat killer of Mexican folklore. Folklore is stories from the past that are often fictionalized. Fictionalized to heighten drama. Drama student. Students at colleges usually have bicycles. Binary. It's binary code.
Who's having butt sex?
Especially when they had set up the volcano thing before.
Right.
They had set that up very nicely. And so it felt like that this was also going to be set up, but they just forgot.
I thought like the volcano thing, it was going to be like
more involved.
Yeah,
than this like, that tells us how to where this was.
We kept saying to each other, "When's the volcano big?"
I was expecting
the volcano to like erupt or something, and then cover the world in ash.
I thought they were gonna like pump the toxin in a volcano.
I also
Something
had that
like
thought. Yeah, and it was gonna disperse
the volcano thing, which is like a setup, which is an obvious setup where they're just it's a joke, but you knew they were setting something up.
Really? Anyone in the class besides Martin? Class, what does Martin want to talk about?
Ancient volcanoes.
Ancient volcanoes.
Volcanoes are nature's fury, guys.
I think my favorite character was the volcano kid.
Agreed. I also liked the token black friend.
Yeah. Who died?
No, he makes it.
He makes it.
He makes it.
True.
There's the one who's like a veteran.
Okay, yeah.
He dies in the end.
But he had terminal cancer,
He was
so
gonna die
we feel
anyway.
okay about
Yeah, he goes out he's the one that blows up the bomb
Yeah.
in the alien ship.
I get them all confused.
And earlier on, he's like,
well,
I'm going to live my life the way I want.
Side characters.
I'm going to die the way I want. And then when he blows it up,
so snappy.
I think, so I was expecting an Independence Day, computer virus, which is hilarious that in 1996, they were like, the way to defeat aliens is a computer virus. It seems a very hot 96 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if they made that movie in 2015, what would have been the key to defeating aliens? I say fidget spinners.
2015.
What do you
Fidget
got?
spinners, yeah.
Masks.
Yeah. Oh, masks. They can't facially track us and they think we're statues or some stupid shit.
I'm gonna say streamers.
Twitch streamers?
Like Twitch streamers.
Twitch. Okay.
Yeah.
It could have been Signs, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, where they come to a planet that's 70% covered in water and they're deathly allergic to water. Could have been that smart,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the aliens attack and they climb over their wall hilariously because it's useless.
But easy CGI.
I need to get you to safety right now. We have to kill her. No, this is all the toxin we have. We cannot waste it. Come on, go.
So then she gets hit with a white claw, which we haven't even talked about. The aliens can shoot weird white
And
spikes.
what are those? Are they poisonous? Are they
think
just pointy?
I think they evolved to kill vampires. They're like
It's very
wooden spikes.
That was another thing. It's like they call them the
smell like
white
garlic?
spikes, and it's like
It could be garlicky. That way, you're infusing some garlic before you devour.
Well,
Yeah.
and the
Salt,
scene when
too.
when
Salt and
they're
garlic.
going into the building, you'll see these clusters of spikes.
Yes.
As
Right.
if they can fire
like a shotgun.
multiple. And, yes.
yes.
But
Like
when they get in the fight
machine gun.
scenes, it's only one.
One at a time.
Yep.
She gets a white spike. She's bleeding out.
Yeah.
And then an alien grabs her, and so she's going to fall into a sea of aliens and be eaten.
Yeah.
What does Chris Pratt do?
Jumps.
He's got the toxin to go save his timeline. Her timeline is fucked, obviously. He dives after her, which will accomplish what exactly?
His own death.
Is that when you cried?
It's probably the beach scene where they're talking through
Well,
some stuff.
they're talking through, and she's revealing, what's going on.
I do feel like we should point out that you are the only parent here.
And grandparent.
And grandparent, so yeah.
You have daughters and granddaughters.
This is
Had a divorce.
We're all pretty
This is-
heartless except you.
Yeah,
So.
that's what I'm trying to point out.
The only person
Yeah,
with a heart.
thank you.
He just wants to be closer to her when she gets eaten.
And maybe I'm why do you put the toxin in a glass vial?
Well, and then
Yeah, and then he.
so very luckily,
Yes.
Very luckily, that is exactly the moment when his 7-day tour of duty is over.
Yes,
Discovered
yeah,
when you travel back in time 5 to 10 feet above the ground.
Right.
They've established that's what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Not hundreds of feet and then you
Yeah.
maybe land in a pool. Just a concrete
no
slab.
Beautyrest mattresses, nothing like that.
They know
Not a
time
pool,
travel.
Nothing, yeah.
They haven't figured out gym mats.
Yes.
Good thing it doesn't matter that you have anything delicate like a glass vial that saves the world.
Right, yes. Yeah.
If you're doing a dark comedy, that just shatters hilariously.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh,
He's
I
trying
have
to,
to
like,
save
scoop it up.
somehow. And he like drinks it and he's like, pump my stomach. It could have been a whole good scene there. Didn't do that.
Missed opportunity.
And then they say that he was like unconscious. He's like, where's the vial? And they're like, well, we couldn't take it out of your hand. So it's still just in your hand. You want to look at your hand? That's where it is?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're in shock and trauma, you're not going to be very aware of like what physically is happening.
They
to
probably
you.
can still remove a vial from your hand.
Yeah, you think so.
All right, let's test it out. I'm going to give you a vial and we're going to throw you off the roof.
Okay.
All right?
So my theory was
Your theory was he sees her die, and this is what screws him up.
Yeah.
And why he like leaves the wife because he can't handle it.
Right. He's
And then
too scarred.
my thought at this point when he travels back in time is they're not going to believe him. He's like, oh, we have to make this toxin, blah, blah, blah. My daughter is the general and all, the colonel. She's all these things. No one will believe him, thinks he's crazy. So now is the part where he develops the super toxin on his own because he's got to be this great scientist.
Right.
So he's going to be doing all these experiments with poop and worms and trying to come up with the great enzyme or whatever.
Volcanic ash.
But everyone thinks he's crazy.
I do feel like it's important to note that at this point, I was like, how much time is left in this movie? And we
then we're like,
paused
oh
it.
my
There
God,
were
there's 40 minutes left.
I feel like I was like that throughout the whole movie, though.
It felt like the end, and then there was a
Yeah.
whole other movie after that.
It was definitely a totally different vibe.
It
and-
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's back. They've got the toxin. They know all this information where the aliens show up. They've got 30 years to prepare. So their timeline is pretty safe.
Yeah, except for the senator or the congressman. Or
I think he's the
NSA director or whatever.
They keep showing DOD.
Yeah.
It doesn't wear a tie.
Yeah. He's just
That's
like
the least believable part of this movie.
He's clearly comically incompetent government man who's not the president.
Bureaucrat.
Yeah.
Well, and then, because Chris Pratt's like, well, we need to go to Russia and find this. And he's like,
Right.
well, we don't have very good relations
Well,
with
first-
Russia right now.
And wouldn't Russia care because they don't want to be eaten, do they?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Pretty drunk. They're into it.
Yep.
So we then have a sequence where the entire world, all they care about is sending people to the future and saving the future, but they don't really seem to care about saving their own timeline. Again, all the leaders of the world don't understand that it's the many worlds interpretation. They haven't figured out time travel yet, even though they're doing a lot of it.
But there were no ships. There was no satellite footage of any rockets, nothing. They searched everything. They couldn't find
They
it.
had to have gotten here somehow. Just because they attacked in 2048 doesn't mean that's when they got here. What if they got here in 47 or 46? I mean, it's the middle of nowhere, Russia.
We wouldn't have found their ship
Because we're looking at the wrong year.
But it's not sediment. It's volcanic ash. And it's not from Russia, it's from China.
So how does Chinese volcanic ash end up on an island in northern Russia?
You know any volcano experts?
Am I in trouble?
His wife and his student basically figure out exactly where the aliens are. We can go get them.
There's
Which
a type
seems-
of ash that's on the.
It's
Which
a
seems like a
volcano
thing we
nonsense.
could have figured out
at any point.
at the beginning of
And
the
that literally, like, a million people on the planet could have figured out.
But we had to waste so many people's lives.
And they don't seem to care about saving their own timeline, which makes no sense. We gotta save the future timeline after everything's fucked. No one seems to care about their own. And then they're like, okay, we figured it out. Here's where the aliens are. We've got a toxin. Let's go stop this from happening and save our world. And the DOD guy's like, you want me to send taxpayer dollars?
We have to get to Russia.
No, you're not going to Russia. Listen, if we can go there now and kill them all, we prevent this from ever happening.
And you want me to use taxpayer money to fund a special covert mission into a hostile sovereign nation led by a biology teacher.
Which is just, it belongs in a cartoon.
And especially when he takes credit. How do you take credit for that?
Because he's just a cartoon character.
As soon as I heard that the white spikes might already be here, my actions were swift and decisive.
It's like a Simpsons episode.
Government people are dumb. It's very
And then
South. It's very South Park.
Oh, okay. We get to J.K. Simmons again, who I don't know if we really talked about.
Which I wanted more from J.K. Simmons.
I wanted more Conspiracy Santa.
I did too.
Okay, but he's like such a cliche actor to put in that role.
Yeah.
I feel like I love him, but he is kind of the expected well, this is a man who was a man's man.
The best part about J.K. Simmons is sometimes my students will say, you look like...
You get J.K. Simmons.
I get J.K. Simmons. Really? Well, it's always a bald guy, but I get a J.K. Simmons a lot. And so it's nice when he's
Who does he look like? Celebrity look like? What do you got? I have one.
What do you
Magic Johnson.
Oh, okay.
White Magic Johnson.
Yeah. And so I'll take that, but J.K. Simmons being in a cool role, kind of an action figure role, I was happy to see that.
You just need to grow a beard.
Conspiracy Santa.
What about Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson? I look like Woody Harrelson? Okay,
I don't see that.
Or a mix of Magic Johnson and Woody Harrelson.
Magic Woody.
I'm having a hard time thinking of bald people.
They're people too.
Bald people are people too.
That's right.
All right, so we get the reunion with the father, which was so obvious. There's one scene with J.K. early where he's, I'm your dad, and we don't get along.
It's something about no second chances.
You don't get a second chance. Very obviously, they're going to be best friends by the end of the movie. He isn't in the movie for a long time, and it's like, well, I got to get to Russia. Now we're going to be best friends, and he's going to fly us into Russia.
And then it feels like a buddy cop situation.
It is. It's a completely different
buddy cop movie at the end.
Partially. It's also Alien at the end.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, this other alien race used these white spikes as a weapon, and now it's
I was
Alien.
really curious about this other alien race.
I know. I wanted to
want
know more.
Sequel.
Agreed.
I got one! Yeah, he did. Sliced it up like Julia Child. One got away, though.
It could have been, hey, 8 people go, and they unleash the aliens and don't kill them all.
And just move the timeline up.
And it moves the timeline up, and it's like, oh, shit, we just did that.
Oopsies. Yes,
they almost did that.
Red belly. Oh, shit. That's the female. We better go get her before she lays an egg or whatever the hell they do.
We could leave right now. Go back with photographs, show everybody the world has a common enemy to fight.
Go tell the UN and they can talk about it till we're all dead.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to agree with Conspiracy Santa. Maybe we get the world governments involved, it could turn into a nightmare.
Another angle could be that they unleash them, but they don't hit for 30. They're the reason they are unleashed at all.
Yeah.
Reminds me of this Polish movie I saw where this guy kept trying to make a plane, and with the time that he does make the plane explodes.
What was this movie?
I don't know. It was this Polish film series I went to at the Tivoli where Scorsese picked them out.
His favorite Polish film.
I forget what the name of this movie is. It's from the 70s.
Alien ship. It's gonna escape the ice because of global warming. So all we have to do is stop global warming. But we decided instead send a crew of 8 people to blow it up.
Vigilantes,
Vigilantes.
Right.
And the toxin, completely useless. The whole movie is about making this toxin.
It kills one.
It kills 5 or 6. But they basically, if they had a crew of 14 people, would they have needed the toxin?
No.
If they had just flown over with one F-22 and dropped
a single
couple of bombs, would they have needed a toxin?
No.
Yeah, this is a time travel movie that's not interested in time travel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it's trying to be a monster movie, a time travel movie, heartfelt, and then a hard sci-fi with the scene in Russian.
It's a little soft.
But I feel like it wanted to be that
sci-fi.
really bad.
What do you think of the flash forward beginning? We open on Chris Pratt falling out of the sky.
I completely forgot about that.
Even with the flash forward, it's 3 minutes in the movie. It's oh, future people are here. We're losing an alien war.
I think I benefited from the flash forward when the actual him falling in the pool happened because that was so confusing. Oh yeah, we've seen this before. He survives, and this works out.
The movie doesn't end here.
Yes.
With him going splat on the paper.
I would have rather it ended there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hot take. He also seems to bend physics. In that shot, he's falling, and he is definitely not making the pool. And
yes,
he's
yes,
ugh!
Thank you.
And he does a swim maneuver in the sky, and then he's in the pool. It reminds me of Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Which has an opening where you see the main character. It's like on TV. On TV, they're like showing this. Oh, we're fighting the war, and you see the main character. And then it flashes back, and they're like in high school, and he's playing weird future high school football in Brazil. We get back to that opening, but we see it from a totally different perspective when we get there. Whereas this movie, has anything been accomplished with the flash forward, and then we get back to it?
No.
I feel like it was a bad use of in media res.
Oh, yeah. Bad use of it.
You're making us all look better.
Starship Troopers, the whole movie is through the lens of this is a fascist propaganda film.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
Sky Marshal Beans announces plans for an offensive against clandestine.
Your basic Arachnid Warrior isn't too smart, but you can blow off a limb, and it's still 86% combat effective. Here's a tip. Aim for the nerve stem.
Would you like to know more?
It's a great built-in excuse for the schlock. Parts of it are modeled on actual Nazi propaganda films, which is a lens to see it all through.
And the villains have intelligence.
They do.
Unlike these people, or these creatures.
Bugs.
At least in the first movie, I feel like it's trying to do a like metaphor for climate change.
Yes.
Did you have this thought too?
Yeah, because it was kind of like we have to fight this future war
for our children and
for our children, and you know.
And how do the aliens get unleashed?
Climate change.
Climate change.
Right.
The glaciers melt. They came out. So when they discover, oh, it takes 30 years of glacier melt, and then the aliens are unleashed. All they have to do is reverse climate change, get the world on their side. Hey, let's reverse global warming.
At this point, I don't think even...
They decide instead to go blow things up.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think aliens that devour the human race would still stop the corporations.
Absolutely not.
From polluting.
Yeah, so that's quite a metaphor.
Everyone, and they get it like up and running within a year, and it like all works really smoothly, and everyone's on board with it.
We need to feed you to the aliens. We're going to pump you full of poison. You'll be our rat bait.
And all of these world governments work together.
Which, by the way,
no,
in the many worlds interpretation, makes no sense because they just throw bodies down this bottomless pit of trying to save this totally fucked future that's already done. Pumping all their resources into helping a different timeline, which actively makes their timeline less likely to survive. They should have been like, thanks for the info. Good luck. We're going to look after our own timeline now. We've got like cross-timeline warfare. It'd be interesting. Maybe that's a sequel.
And there is a sequel in the...
There is a sequel in the works. You're spoiling all of my thoughts. All right, let's
His
get
very
to,
original thoughts that no one's ever had.
Before we get too negative, Chris Pratt's still great. Still.
Oh, I don't want to like Chris
script.
Pratt.
Why do you not want to like Chris Pratt?
He's like a weird evangelical,
Yeah,
anti-gay.
Andy Dwyer, though. You gotta love Andy Dwyer.
Andy
Dwyer's
beloved.
Great. Yeah.
I mean, he was what the movie called for sure.
Special
The
effects.
casting was on point.
Basically, all the complaints I have are writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the writing was...
All 4,000 CGI artists that sat there through all of quarantine, drawing on their little pads to make little explosions and alien goo. Great job, guys. You did that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Except there's one part, machine guns, belt fed. You can see the belt. The belt runs out. She keeps firing. Oh, okay.
Plot hole.
Yeah, I noticed that watching it live. It was like, well, you can see the belt. It runs out. Gun keeps firing. Because I was thinking like, oh, she's running out of ammo. Now they're going to catch up, and it's going to be like Terminator 2 where the bad guy gets to the back of the car. This is another twist.
That ruined the movie right there.
Colonel Forrest, you're going to take me a minute to get used to that one.
All right, I have a few different titles. Guess when you're down to less than 500,000 people on the planet, you wear a few hats.
Cooterberger, Vice Chair of Farm Subsidies, acting head of FEMA, temporary acting head of the FBC, while the acting head is on trial.
Wow, you've had a lot of shakeups around here lately, huh?
I couldn't disagree with you more.
Really well done.
This is the time for me to say the most unrealistic part of the movie.
Yeah, what do you got?
Is that a colonel is in charge of everything.
I said the same thing.
And then he's like, oh, but you're like a PhD and you're the head of research and you're also a colonel. She's just all these jobs.
She's like good at
well,
shooting
why isn't she a general then?
Right.
Yeah.
Or where are the generals?
Go over the top. Make her. She's like the Supreme Court justice
or something.
She's the attorney general.
Right.
She's all these jobs. I don't know.
No, we just can't make her anything higher than a colonel.
I think the movie is all a metaphor for divorce.
Mm.
The white spikes represent lawyers.
That's not what I thought you
And
were
the
saying.
queen in a box, when they are carrying it away on the helicopter, represents 2 Christmases.
What?
2 Christmases after divorce. You
A
get 2
queen in a
Christmases.
box?
They capture the queen and carry it out in a helicopter.
And that represents 2 Christmases?
It's a Christmas present. It's all wrapped up.
Have you?
But that's 2 Christmas.
But it's Christmas in July,
I mean,
so it's your
okay,
other
but
Christmas.
like, 2 Christmases isn't really like the gift that you think it is.
I know it ends up
Is that
attracting.
is 2 Christmases the name of another movie or something?
No.
I think there's
You
a
guys
4
just don't-
Christmases.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
It ends up attracting all of the males, then it destroys. See, I'm not saying 2 Christmases is good. You guys are all experienced in this. I'm not. So
Yeah.
you know.
I was
Any
thinking
thoughts?
This is a reach.
Any other
Yeah,
metaphors?
this is a reach.
for
This is a
divorce?
reach.
Shit. That's supposed to be deeper than that.
All right, we come to Aaron's second great theory.
In the timeline that we see, the daughter like is abandoned by her father, but like becomes this amazing, goes to MIT, becomes this colonel, is like the most brilliant woman in the world. So
MIT or OTC.
yes, which whatever. Timeline where he comes back and is like a good present father, and she has no expectations to live up to.
And they save the world.
And they save the world.
And he's going to be like, they're going to have a press conference with the 3 of them because they saved the world. And he's going to be like, no, it was my daughter. She invented the toxin in the future. So she's going to be raised as like, she's the one who saved the world.
In that timeline, she becomes a stripper.
Yeah. Doesn't have a reason to try
stripper.
hard. She's being raised as,
You're
you're
being
so
hard on
great.
strippers.
Great.
You know, I mean, she could be anything.
She could be a man with daughters. She could be anything.
Daughters
She's
and
told at
granddaughters.
age 8 that you grew up so amazing and you saved the world. It's a different timeline, though. We don't need you to do that. So what are you going to do
It's a big burden
instead?
to live up to.
It is.
It's a big burden to live up to. And she changes her name to Diamond.
She's becomes a mother. Diamond, right?
I want to read you a quote from a review. So talking about how the movie early on seems to acknowledge that it's dumb. They hammer so hard on how nothing that is happening makes the slightest bit of sense. I was convinced that the first half of the movie was better than it was. I assumed they were pointing out all these flaws because they were building towards a reveal of what was really going on, which would be the poison toxin we're feeding you, but they cut that. But nope, all the matter-of-fact pointing out of flaws was just the script shooting itself repeatedly in the foot.
Yeah.
Agree?
No, I agree totally. Like, the first half, you're totally expecting something big and bad to happen, and the
Cloverfield,
yeah,
Lane
but-
10, whatever. Yeah.
something like some big twist where you're like, oh, the humans in the future are the real bad guys. But that doesn't
We're
happen.
killing ourselves.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen. Yeah.
On endless, tedious gunfights with guns that always hold exactly enough bullets to run out when a white spike closes to tickling range.
Tickling range.
Great quote. Then the chargee either dies horribly, or if they have a laminated protagonist card, they drop their gun to pull out a hero pistol or axe to amazingly get the job done.
Or a chainsaw.
Like 8 times that happened. 8 times.
A laminated protagonist card. That's a great phrase.
Although I feel like there's a laminated comic relief side character card also. All right, there's a sequel in the works. What's the sequel? What are we doing? Where are we going?
We're following the stripper daughter.
Stripper daughter.
gonna
Okay,
say
that could be a fun.
And she ends up
But
saving the world.
Independence Day, they kind of glorified the stripper.
They did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's
Strippers are not dumb.
Day After Tomorrow War.
Day After Tomorrow War.
Where the world freezes.
Yeah.
Because they went too far the other direction, and now we need to use more fossil fuels to warm the planet.
And Dennis Quaid shows up.
What are we calling these creatures?
The White Claws.
The White Claws?
The White Stripes.
Or the
Jack White.
original citizens of Earth, and some planet dropped humans on Earth to get rid of all the...
And we're really the parasite.
This is
We're
like
really
the
the parasite,
Star Trek
yes.
explanation for humanity. Like I guess it's also kind of like Scientology. Also, like some sort of like ancient aliens seeded a bunch of planets.
I've always wanted to meet someone that knew something about Scientology.
For the sequel.
Yep.
Sequel. One thought was, well, you just stick in this timeline, maybe the aliens who use the white stripe claws as a weapon. Maybe they show up. They're like, hey, you blew up our ship. We're going to send another one. And then they, you know.
There's one on the South Pole.
Now they have toxin weapons, and they got to fight at the South Pole. It's like the thing, or something like that.
I like that.
But there has to be time travel. Has to be. And you need to use Igor Stravinsky again, the daughter, as an adult, that actress. Chris Pratt dives after her. She's falling to be eaten. He vanishes. In 2030, Chris Pratt wants to still save that timeline. He wants to save her. So he invents, / his comic relief side, startup company sidekick characters. They invent time travel to go back to that timeline. But they can't interfere with the first movie, which would then maybe make a paradox. So they have to go back to after original Chris Pratt teleported out.
It's a very specific moment.
Very specific.
I feel like
so
this,
in the
this
moment,
might be too smart for these writers.
So in that moment where he's diving, she's falling, we don't actually see her die. She's just clearly going to die. He teleports out. 2030 Chris Pratt teleports in with new technology, toxin weapons, swoops in and saves her. And he's got to save that timeline. But then they do something that jeopardizes the good ending of the first movie. It's basically Back to the Future 2, where you have 2 Marty McFlys in 1955. Something like that.
Yes.
All right. There's not one joke about alien anal probes. Independence Day has like 6
where does that come from?
It's
Why
like
is that a
alien
thing?
abduction myths about...
I know, but what?
People
Where
are like,
does that
people are obsessed with their anuses. You know? Like...
I will
very
be
Freudian.
okay if probe was not a word.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Let's excise that.
Remember the Ford probe?
Yeah.
The car?
Oh, yeah, that was a
Derek's dad had a Ford probe.
And probe should never be used in a news headline.
Drinking
Congress
game
probes.
ideas. Drinking game ideas.
Mine was every time I got bored and got up.
So she's just hammered permanently.
Mine was every time someone cries.
Crying in the film or
In
you?
the film.
Okay.
In the film.
Not when he cries.
Not when he cries.
Does it include if anyone in the room cries?
No.
If a dad in the room starts crying, I think you got to drink.
I feel like if a dad in the room is crying, it's someone on screen is also crying.
Okay. I have a... Wait, why did they do that? If anyone ever says that in the room. Is the movie funny bad?
No.
No.
No. No, not funny bad.
It's not.
It's not that bad. It's just like, wait, you're all incompetent.
Well, like you said earlier, like everything is well done about it except the writing.
And even that is...
The dialogue's not bad.
It's not. It's really not. Which you'd
There's some
expect.
fun
Often
banter.
that is the...
There's some fun.
Yeah.
There's 3 jokes in a row. 19, 20, 21 minutes in. Cut to that.
Desert Eagle 50 cal. It's cool.
Yeah, it does the job.
Job of convincing the world you have a small dick. I wish you wouldn't drink while you do this.
I wish Stevie Nicks would show up in her birthday suit with a jar of pickles and a bottle of baby oil.
30% of draftees return. I talk to them every day, and they suffer so much post-trauma they can barely talk.
I mean, I can see why you don't work in the recruiting department.
I just couldn't get into it. Like, to sit there for 2 hours and
20 minutes.
20 minutes and just watch this onslaught of whatever it was. I felt like torture.
There was some sensory overload.
And he thought it was torture.
I
Did
was
you
just,
think it was torture?
I personally was just bored.
Well, you know, his daughter was cold to him as a colonel and wouldn't explain why. That was really tough for me.
Yeah. I can see that.
And so she's like, there's a part of it's like, I don't like you, or there's a part of it that's like, I'm doing this for your own good. I'm just doing my job.
And she's like, you were a bad family man. He's like, no, because I am a great family man.
But I didn't really feel
Doesn't make
anything. I feel like I'm an easy crier, and I was kind of like...
An easy
You're
crier.
an easy crier.
Yeah, I am.
I don't know that I've ever seen you cry.
I know. Well, don't look
See
at
if
me
we can
like
try.
that.
Tell her something.
I cry at movies all the time.
I cry at all baseball movies. Every
League of Their Own?
Major League?
Cried.
Major League 2?
Yep.
Ted Lasso?
Yep.
Did you?
That's not a baseball movie.
It's not, but I was just asking.
Baseball movies.
Well, Europeans call American soccer baseball, I'm pretty sure. I have one question left.
Okay.
Is it ready for prime time?
Oh, boy.
This is such a special episode of Is It Ready? Not Ready for Prime Time.
I'm glad I didn't pay for it in the movie.
I'm glad you didn't pay for it. This is episode 13 of Not Ready for Prime Time.
13.
Because episodes 5 through 12 was one episode that we binged 12. We binged 8 movies in a row.
Oh.
I was not a part of
Also
that.
called Terrible Idea Episode 1.
This is really hard because everything about that movie is good except the plot.
Which is kind of the crucial element.
I know.
No, I don't know. I feel like Foley work, you know? I could watch a movie just because it's got great Foley work.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything else was the special effects, the acting.
Is it
the dialogue?
ready? Yes or no? Ready for prime time? What do you got?
It's ready for prime time for dumb people.
How many dumb people are in the world?
A lot. So many.
50%?
Yeah.
We're getting into
70.
eugenics now.
70%.
I'm not saying we need to wipe them out.
We just need to make them watch. We need to
You're
distract
kinda talking
them
about
with
me,
bad
and so
movies.
that's
Yeah.
No.
We're not saying
Look
you're
at that. You are kind of. If you liked it. Awkward.
It's okay. I can live with that. It's okay.
The only person in this house with a PhD.
Again, it makes the same point.
Well, this is just a critique on the education system.
Oh,
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you're a no. You're a no.
No.
Ready for prime time? It's ready for prime time. God damn, it's not that hard, people. It's not. The bar for ready for prime time is not that high. Greyland.
Greyland was not ready for prime time.
That was what you said. I said it was.
So it seems
what do you
for
enjoy
Jeff.
more? This or Greatland?
I enjoy Greyland more.
Yeah. See?
Interesting.
You're,
Well, so the common thread is that Greatland had good production value.
I don't think every movie's for every person.
That's
Yeah,
true.
But this is your opinion. We'll learn about your tastes.
I
and
think there's
you'll
a
go,
bunch of
"You know
people.
what?"
I think there's a bunch of people would love this movie.
Yeah,
I agree with that
Which
statement.
is why I say it's ready. It's ready for prime time. You watch it and then forget about it and never watch it ever again. Will you ever watch this movie ever again?
Nope.
No.
No.
No. No. No. Except I have to edit this goddamn video. I'm gonna have to go through it minute by minute, pulling clips out.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
We don't feel sorry for you.
You've chosen this life.
That's all we wanted from you was a little bit of help.
I was there in the ICU. I heard your last heartbeat on the monitor.
And it's not from Russia, it's from China or Korea, somewhere in there.
How do you know that?
Oh, you want me to explain the chemical makeup of the host sediment?
Fuck no.
You've been mad at me your whole life because I left you.
Is there any way to pinpoint exactly where in Russia that ash would have landed?
Laptop.
I love this kid.
You know, Mom had tried to help me separate from you, but I couldn't. I didn't want to because I wanted you to see me.
To fly undetected into Russian airspace so I can get a team of soldiers to the top of a glacier island.
I'll get my coat.
Passion in the Army Research Lab. I use my GI Bill to go to Cal State.
Yeah, I have a PhD in biotechnology with an emphasis in genomics and immunology.
Well, I was department chair at Georgia Tech, doctorate in Earth and Atmospheric Sciences.
Did you tell it to die?
Yeah. Gay bomb could not be effectively weaponized. The chemical dissipates harmlessly in open tactical environments, and frankly could only work if somehow we could get the enemy into a closed, unventilated space.
Ooh, pens. I feel weird.
The key to saving the human race is Chris Pratt's smegma.
People are
Where
like,
does that
people are obsessed with their anuses. You know, like Marvel movies I have fun watching, and then like 10 minutes after I'm done, I guess it feels like you're masturbating or something, right? Because you're like,
You're regretful.
you're like, oh, why did I do that?
I also got some dude's briefcase.
I believed in you, buddy. But you should put that back.
How did you get this?
Fucking hilarious.
That's not something that props can fix. Sorry.
I'm out!
Ah!